Hi, I'm Allan, and I'm going to tell you what Logan Buford has to do with a man named Harold Hill.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm going to tell you how a sickly Argentinian woman defied all odds and went on to do the unthinkable, or in this case, the unsinkable.
And I'm Chelsea, here to talk to you about why an unexpected rainy day might not necessarily be a bad thing.
What do all of these stories have to do with the word water? Find out in this week's History Bluffs. Welcome to another episode of History Bluffs, where truth is stranger than fiction. I want to welcome to the show now, it's your host, it's Chris.
Hello, and welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. We are thrilled to have three outstanding historians here to regale you with some tales on this week's topic. Inspiration, as Adam pointed out, it is the word water. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Adam, our tech extraordinaire. Adam, how are you doing?
Thank you. Doing good. It's dry where I am, but I see we're doing a show about water, so good luck to all of you.
Good luck indeed. I'm going to just start introducing the historians and chat a little bit with them. I'm going to start right at the top on the screen as I see them. And Allan, you're up there. So how are you, Allan?
I'm doing quite well. To respond to Adam's statement, it is not dry here. It is plenty wet all over the ground. I don't think it's currently raining, but we had a lot of rain earlier today.
Yeah, we had, dare I say, almost torrential rain where I was as well, and pelting against my office window. But I'm happy to say I'm dry now. And Allan, if you had to pick a favorite movie that was in or about water, what would it be?
Just one?
Just one.
Oh boy, there's quite a few. The low on my list would be Waterworld.
Low on everyone's list, I think, is Waterworld.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
So I couldn't give you my favorite. I'm not sure.
We will take your anti-favorite. That's
Okay.
fine. Katie, you were second there. Katie, if you had give it up for Katie. How are you doing, Katie?
I'm great. I didn't know if you wanted me to talk or just wave.
Oh, but a boom.
Wow.
I see what you did there.
There it is.
Save that for the show.
Yeah.
If you had a book, a favorite book that was inspired or about water, what would it be?
I do have one, but I'm going to talk about it in my topic, so I don't want to spoil anything.
All right.
Good call.
Well prepared. Good call. And then last, but certainly not least, welcome Chelsea to the show. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good to hear it. Good to hear it indeed. Chelsea, if there was a song of your liking that was either about water or inspired by water, what would it be?
Ooh, you must be seeing into the future. I'm thinking Rain on Me by Lady Gaga.
Nice.
That's good. Good choice.
All right. Well, we are now going to hear some stories, not necessarily about a movie, a book, or a song, although there is a book in one of them, about water, but we're going to hear what our historians have chosen to talk about in their stories inspired by the word water. And Adam, if you would be so kind, let's put up the rules and find out how this game show works.
Oh, let's do it. We have rules. We're going to follow them because we're civilized, Chris. We're civilized people.
Civilized indeed, certainly most weeks. These are our three historians, and they are each going to be telling us stories inspired by the word water, the topic of the week. Two of our historians are going to be telling two true stories. I can say that, I really can. And they are going to be factual stories, true to their word. The third historian, however, is going to be this week's bluff, and their story is going to be fictional. It might have some truthiness to it. It might be. It might involve true people or true locations. But the premise of their story is false, and they are going to be fictional. They're going to be this week's bluff. However, we don't know. So we ask the audience to not help as we are trying to figure out who is the bluff. And when we say not help, we say please don't Google anything or look up anything in any search engine and put it up on screen. Please don't debunk a story. Save all that for the third round, and then you can just unload all you have, because that's after the third round of stories. That's when we're going to find out who we all believe is the bluff. We're going to make our challenges, and we're going to make our accusations, and then Adam is going to reveal who the real bluff is, because he's the only one that knows, besides the bluff, obviously. Yes. So I mentioned the third round because there are 3 rounds in this show, and the way that the rounds work, round 1 is 75 seconds, the opening round. Each person will get a chance to open up with 75 seconds of story, and then we move to round 2, which is condensed to 60 seconds, and then our final wrap-up round, round number 3, is condensed to 45 seconds when they will conclude their story, and then we will find out who we all think are the bluff for the week, and then we'll find out for the real who is actually revealed as tonight's bluff. So, yes.
Oh, the bluff is among us.
The bluff is among us indeed. Adam, let us begin, shall we?
Oh, let's go. Do you want me to go to round number 1?
I want you to go to round number 1.
Let's do it.
All right.
Here we are.
Here
You know what that means. We got to get...
Let's see it.
Yep, here comes the Round Tracker 9000.
There it is, right above me, the top of the screen. You see the Round Tracker 9000.
There it is. You know what, Chris?
Yes.
I am so sad for our audio-only listeners who are listening via podcast. They do not see this.
And it was literally the next sentence coming out of my mouth. It said, if you're only hearing this on a podcast, above my head on the screen, which is a pretty good trick because I have a pretty big head, they have put the Round Tracker 9000, which indicates that we have 3 stories in each of the 3 rounds. Right. So that is going to tell us where we are in the course of the show. So let us begin round number 1. As I mentioned, this is starting with 75 seconds for the opening round, and we're going to begin with Allan. Allan, you're going to come to the main screen here. You're going to hear a boom, and when you hear that boom and see that sundial, the floor is yours.
You may have heard of the fictional character Harold Hill, anti-hero protagonist from the musical titled The Music Man. But have you heard of the real-life man responsible for the Alabama, Georgia, Florida water wars? 100 years ago, in 1923, a man named Logan Buford offered the city of Atlanta his vision for damming up Lake Lanier to river water sources near Atlanta. His claim was that his new dam would not only supply energy to the nearby city, but also control flooding. The state of Georgia happily supplied the funds to create the dam. The Buford and Buford was off to the races with his dam, which completed construction 6 years later. Unfortunately, that also coincided with the great market crash of 1929, leading to great economic hardship and led water sources downstream to demand attention to their needs. The sources in question were Alabama and Florida. Florida's Apalachicola River supplies freshwater tributaries to its oyster farming industry, without which Logan, Florida, claimed the industry suffered.
Wow.
A little tight on the time, but he got it.
Tight on the time. He got it in, even pronouncing Apalachicola. Very nicely done.
Yes, I did.
That was the hard part.
That was the hard part. So I'm going to begin with Chelsea. Chelsea, what's your take on Allan's opening round?
I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Chelsea.
Sorry.
We
You might learn something if you paid attention.
Oh.
Kind of a snooze fest. It could go either way. He's just putting, stringing a bunch of fake facts together, or if it's just so real it's boring. I don't know. We'll find out.
Shot
maybe round
across
2.
the bow.
Bam.
Shot across the bow in round number 1.
Liven it up, Allan.
I love it. Katie, what do you think? Is there any Katie, do you believe for a second that Florida, Georgia, and Alabama would argue over anything?
I just feel like we're always on the same page about things. We really just like to get along. But I am really disappointed this story, as of yet, does not involve 76 trombones.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Harold Hill might get on that trombone later.
Early in the show. It's early.
So we're going to stay with Katie here. And Katie, we're going to put you in the main square. And when you hear the boom and you see the sundial, you have 75 seconds for your opening round. The floor is yours.
Picture it. April the 14th, 1912. The Royal Mail ship Titanic is steaming across the Atlantic when she strikes an iceberg and sinks, killing many. On board, we learn about the unsinkable Molly Brown. However, there is another woman on board who earns the nickname Miss Unsinkable. For that, we have to go all the way back to Argentina in the late 1880s. In 1887, a woman named Violet Constance Jessup is born in Argentina to Irish immigrant parents, and she is the oldest of 9 children, 6 of which would survive. Now, as a kid, she is super sickly. She goes to the doctor several times. The doctor's like, hey, she's not going to live very long. Well, she defies all of the odds. She manages to grow up. They move back to England. Her mother is briefly a stewardess on board another ship. When her mother gets sick, she goes, fine, I'm going to be a stewardess. Originally starts working for one line in England and then decides to work for the White Star Line. It's really hard for her to get a job as a stewardess. At this point, they want people who look more matronly. She's in her early 20s. So she goes with her hair unwashed, grease still on her face from the night before, and she uglies herself up enough to get the job on Olympic and then Titanic. I'll tell you more about that later.
Ooh. Well timed, well timed. Let's see if it was well received. Allan, what do you think of Katie's opening round?
Well, I think the existence of the unsinkable Molly Brown is pretty well known. The other details could be completely made up, so it might be too easy to call out Katie. I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. I mean, like an Irish family having 9 kids, that's believable. Chelsea, what do you think, Chelsea?
I also question, like, isn't she the unsinkable Molly Brown? But I mean, who doesn't love a great Titanic story? I hope this one's true because I just want to learn more.
All right. Well, don't cry for me because we're moving on. We are moving on to Chelsea for her first round story. That is, you could laugh at it. It was
Here
really
we
bad.
are.
All right. So, Chelsea, you are in the big square here. You're going to hear the boom and see the sundial. When you do, you have 75 seconds for your opening round. Go ahead.
All right. So, I mean, you kind of called me out there, Chris, with songs about water, because we're going to talk about one of my favorite music videos with water, Rain on Me by Lady Gaga. So this music video was actually filmed in February, right before the pandemic hit. So they were really lucky to be able to, have this huge budget music video. Of course, Ariana Grande was on it as well, and it did very well. It debuted #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it featured a lot of, what was that? Water, obviously. It's Rain on Me. And part of that was Lady Gaga having a bunch of hoses strapped to her, water shooting out everywhere. She said there were things glued to her face and her body. There was so much water that she couldn't keep anything glued to her face on. So it was a really amazing and iconic music video. However, it's not the only music video she had with Rain.
Ooh. With time to spare, a teaser. Katie, what did you think, Katie, of Chelsea's opening round?
I mean, amazing and iconic. I don't think I've seen a music video since 2005. So I've never seen it. Okay. If we're going to talk about famous songs about water, I mean, Umbrella is what hits my head first. So I'm curious to see where this goes.
All right.
Okay.
Allan, what do you think, Allan?
I mean, I think some of us are dating ourselves when we say the only Rain on Me songs we know are by The Who and Phil Collins.
Forgot about the Phil Collins one. Jeez.
Yeah, you forgot about that one.
I would have blamed it on the rain, but
Hey, gotta blame it on something. So Lady Gaga teaming up with Ariana Grande. I know Ariana Grande teamed up with some other people, Jessie J and some other people for a different song, and then Lady Gaga teamed up with Beyonce for a couple of different songs. I'm actually not familiar with this song, so you got one over on me. So I don't know yet.
All right, all right. My question about Ariana Grande is if she ever goes to Starbucks, does she get a venti for Grande? We're going to look here and see.
Yeah, look, there it is.
The round tracker 9000 is full for the first round. Adam, that means we're going to round number 2.
Let's do it. Round number 2.
All right.
Here we are.
So we are going to pull Katie out first this time. Katie, we are moving around 2, so that means that we now have 60 seconds for our second round of the stories. So when you hear the boom and see the sundial, you have the floor and 60 seconds to tell your story.
All right. So Violet gets a job, as I mentioned, on Titanic's older sister ship, Olympic. Olympic sails first. She's on her when they have a collision with the HMS Hawk, a British Royal Navy ship. Punctures the bow. No one's hurt, but it compromises 2 watertight compartments. She's brought back for parts and repairs. She goes from Olympic, decides to work on the younger sister Titanic, not because she wants to leave Olympic. She really likes Olympic despite the crash, but her friends convince her it'll be a good experience. So she gets on board Titanic, enlisting again as a stewardess. And the night of the sinking, she's in her cabin. She is just about to fall asleep when she feels the collision. She's ordered up on deck. She's told to get into a lifeboat to show the women that the boats are safe. As the boat's about to be lowered, a crewman's like, "Here, take care of this baby," and hands her a baby. She's like, "I don't know what to do with this, but I'm going to try to keep it warm." From the water, she sees Titanic sink. She counts the rows of lights as they go underwater. She gets on board the rescue ship Carpathia, surviving. A woman snatches the baby out of her arms. She doesn't even know it's a child's mother.
Wow.
My goodness.
Dramatic.
Holy smokes. There's so many ships in this story.
There are.
There's so many ships.
So far, there's been three
Chelsea,
ships.
what do you think of Katie's second round?
There's a lot of detail and how lucky and unlucky at the same time.
Right.
Things are almost a little too perfect.
That's a classic bluff move. That is a classic bluff move. Throw so many details in there that you're just overwhelming the story with details. Allan, what do you think?
Yeah, same. We know that Katie is a Titanic expert, so there might be some accurate details in this, but the crux of the story, the part where she takes another baby and like the details, that might not have been actually cataloged. That might not be factual. So there are actual facts here. The sister ship, the Olympic. And then later on, I think the Oceanic was the third ship. No, what was it?
We'll get to that though.
Okay, Katie knows.
Jumping ahead.
Stop foreshadowing, Alan.
Okay, never mind.
No, they were in the ocean, is what it was. That's what you're thinking. They were
That's
in the ocean.
what it is. Okay.
Titanic was a White Star Line ship, but it wasn't a sister.
Okay. Well, then
There you go.
you'll have at it.
We are going to move to our second
go.
historian for round number 2.
Yeah.
That means we're going to put Chelsea up in the big square. And Chelsea, you have 60 seconds for your second round. And let's see if we go chasing waterfalls in this song.
What?
Here we go, coming at you.
So there was an amazing music video done by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande with a lot of water. Then during the pandemic, there was the MTV Music Awards, and not a lot of people wanted to do this, but Lady Gaga showed up. She won 3 VMAs for this, and her and Ariana Grande got to perform it on stage at the VMAs while wearing masks. However, the cost of water is very expensive when you don't rely on Mother Nature. So instead of having any water on stage, it was all the background. They had special effects to look like a thunderstorm, and that really was their version of Rain on Me. The most expensive music video that was ever made of during its time was November Rain by Guns N' Roses, partially because the fake rain in the funeral scene.
Ooh,
Just the rain?
just the rain. Allan, what do you
Blame
think?
it on the rain.
Blame it on the rain. What do you think, Allan, with the GNR reference there at the end?
Well, I know that Guns N' Roses made some expensive videos, November Rain probably being the number one, but I didn't know it was just because of that rain effect. I thought it was
Not just as part.
Okay.
It added 2.
All right. Well, the sets, the location, shooting on location, etc. I don't know. It's I don't know. You're on notice, Chelsea.
All right, we have a notice given. Katie, what do you think about Chelsea's second round story?
I think this story is all wet. If we are talking about water being put on stage for an incredible performance, it is a crime that we have not mentioned Tom Holland in his performance of Umbrella on Celebrity Lip Sync. The best water performance on stage.
Yeah. There it is.
Vocal? It was a lip sync.
Oh!
Tom Holland? Oh, I thought you said vocal performance.
Snap. Oh.
Brianna is perfect.
Bluff.
and I think Gene Kelly might have something to say about that as well.
Indeed.
No, he won't. He's dead.
Oh.
He has nothing to say.
Too soon?
Well, you never
Too
know
soon.
now with AI, he might have something to say. So,
man.
Allan,
Wow.
let's get Allan out here. Speaking of AI, it has nothing to do with his story, but we're going to have Allan come out because he starts with an A. So, Allan, tell us your second round story, please.
So then Logan Buford said, "Hey, Army Corps of Engineers, you know what you need is a complex lock system. That's right here in River City." He talked about closing off the borders of Florida and Alabama to ensure that Florida's ecology would not be damaged. He closed off the border of some of the water that was going off to Alabama to divert it into Florida so that would help their oysters industry not dry out. The new system worked until the state of Alabama complained about how now they were short on water. So farming conditions in Alabama was suffering due to dry riverbeds and lake levels rapidly being deprived of their interstate river sources. Well, guess who had an idea to redirect other water sources from Georgia into Alabama? That's right, good old Logan Buford.
And we're going to.
I was told I was boring.
You woke us up.
Woke us up, and we are going to get a screen capture of that last shot there just for future reference, future use. Katie, what did you think of Allan's story?
Still waiting for the 76 trombones, but at least we did find that there's some trouble in River City. Yes. I do know that there is a River City Jacksonville, which I found out because I went to a Starbucks and I was like, oh my God, we're in River City. There's trouble right here in River City. And an entire Starbucks stared at me at 9 a.m. and I went, okay, no one knows the music, man. And I believe it is too convenient for this story to have taken place in River City. I think that is a made-up detail.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right. Chelsea, what did you think of Allan's second round?
I feel like it's like back to exactly what we were just talking about. I mean, we were asleep, so we didn't remember, but you went right back to it and then took a sharp turn. We were all, what is happening? So it feels like very choreographed.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. Well, Adam, we have completed round number 2 according to the Tracker 9000.
That's what it says.
Right. So round Tracker 9000 means that we're going to go to round number 3. So
here we are.
Here we are. Remind our viewers and listeners, our third round now is our conclusion round, and each historian has 45 seconds to wrap up their story in the final round.
That's not a lot of time. That's so fast.
That is not a lot of time, but they can do it. We have seen them do it before. So we're going to bring Chelsea out to the main square. And Chelsea, when you hear the boom and see the sundial, you have your 45 seconds to wrap up your story, and the floor is yours.
This leads us to another Lady Gaga music video. If you turn the clock back a little bit, instead of releasing this song, she actually had her first single from the Born This Way album, Be Born This Way. But it was actually supposed to be the song Marry the Night. She did eventually release that song and release a music video for it. And that was actually her directorial debut. And it was a 14-minute music video, autobiographical. And there was a scene outside, a lot of electricity, pyro. It starts raining naturally. They wanted to shut down production, said it's not safe. And she said, we're getting free reign. I don't care. Keep filming. And they did.
Calling out to the skies, Allan, what do you think of that story?
So, again, I think this leads back to the idea that November Rain went over budget because of the fake rain, so Lady Gaga capitalized on the real rain because apparently that's where the money is.
Efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, that's sounds legit.
All right.
Or
Katie.
does it?
Oh,
Katie, what do you think, Katie? What do you think?
You know, was it Kermit the Frog who said, "Why are there so many songs about rain?"
Yes.
I'm sure that's the full
While
quote.
taking a bow, he said that, yeah.
there was more to it, I think, but yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, you know, just but I just feel like there are a lot more songs about rain. For example, Hillary Duff's song about rain. We had "Stand in the Rain." We've had
Madonna's Rain.
Yeah, picking this one rain song almost feels like an insult to the other rain songs. I'm just, I'm offended on behalf of the rest of the songs about rain.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That audience member was offended.
I know. Big fan of rain.
A very real audience.
So we have heard the first of our 3 final rounds. Let's bring out Allan to tell us his conclusion. Allan, you are going to come to the main square, and you have 45 seconds when you hear the boom and see the sundial. The floor is yours.
Barry Buford began dredging out and redirecting new river sources directly into Alabama, or at least he would have if he had the permission of the Army Corps of Engineers. Logan's team dredged out lower dry riverbeds right up to the Georgia border within the Alabama state lines. It would require an appeal answered by the Army Corps of Engineers, but due to lack of funding during the Great Depression, there was no one available to process the interstate connection. Alabama was out of luck until an act of God, i.e. the Great Flood of 1937, naturally broke the earthen barrier between Georgia's rivers and the artificially dug riverbeds of Alabama.
All right, Katie, what did you think of Allan's conclusion?
Still no trombones. And
No
I don't
trombone.
even think we had a Music Man reference in that one. So,
There's your trombone. All right.
Yeah!
I got it.
One trombone led the symphony.
Sadly.
Sadly, indeed. Chelsea, what did you think of Allan's conclusion?
I think it's like too boring to be true. It just like seems like he tried to be like safe, but plot twist. Like, whoa, plot twist. I don't know. I'm not.
Too
Too
much.
neatly tied up in a bow, you might say. All
The
right.
rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's a rim shot.
All right. Well, Katie, we are down to one last open spot in the
There it
round
is.
track for 9,000, and that is yours, my friend. So we're going to put you in the big square, and you're going to have you get 60 seconds when you hear
45.
45.
45.
My bad.
60 would
45
be
seconds.
great, but 45, we're going to make it work.
We'll give you
45.
60 next time. 45 seconds when you hear the boom and see the sundial. The floor is yours.
Okay, so Titanic also has a younger sister, originally going to be named Gigantic, but they decide to rename her Britannic after the incident. Well, on board during the war is Violet Jessup, yet again, working for the American Red Cross. Well, in 1916, in November, it is unclear whether she struck a sea mine or she's torpedoed by the Germans, but she sinks in about 55 minutes. The captain orders not to lower the lifeboats because he's trying to run her aground. They say, forget that, we're nervous. They lower the lifeboat. The first lifeboat goes back straight into the propeller of the 33 lives lost. Almost all of them are in that boat. Violet's in that boat. She jumps out just in the nick of time, hits her head really hard on the bottom of the ship, credits her thick auburn hair for saving her life. She goes on to serve over 40 years at sea, earning the nickname Miss Unsinkable.
Miss Unsinkable and Miss Well Timed. Nicely done there, right at the buzzer, getting your story concluded right at the buzzer. Allan, what did you think of Katie's conclusion round?
It sounds plausible, but then again, all stories sound plausible here on History Bluffs.
That's true.
I will say that my dad told me that his father did a cruise on the Oceanic once. So there was no sinking of the Oceanic in these stories, so that story checks out.
There it is.
They had renamed their ship several times, so it was probably a different Oceanic than existed now.
Okay.
No, it wasn't now.
No,
This
I mean
is
in the story.
Oh.
It was way different.
Okay. No, he said it was the sister ship of the Titanic.
No, he was wrong.
That's the first time. The first time we've ever had a reverse bluff accusation about a family.
You saying my grandfather wasn't on the Oceanic?
He was a bluff.
When did they decommission the Oceanic, Katie? Tell us.
Grandfather was a
Answer the
liar.
question now.
He might have been, but it wasn't a sister to Titanic. He could have been on Olympic. She didn't sing.
I meant Olympic. You're right. You're
Oh,
right. It was
oh.
the Olympic. It was the O and the IC.
Double
All right.
bluff,
His
Allan.
story changes
The Olympic. When did they decommission the Olympic?
during World War II.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
That's a 5 years.
All right.
Shortly before, well, Germany had started, but we don't have the American involvement, so it's the mid-30s.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this
So
is
we're-
History Bluffs. You all wanted history. That's why people listen, I'm assuming.
That's indeed. Chelsea, what did you think of the conclusion there?
Katie's just like the expert at this, so I don't know. I could go either way because again, things just happened like too perfectly to like be in or not in this person's favor. So
Yeah, and again, just you're inundating us with details, meticulous details, a classic bluff move. So we are now at the conclusion of all 3 rounds. So that
It
means
is.
that we have to poll our History Bluffs panel to find out which of our historians think the other historians are bluffing. So let's begin with Allan. Allan, let's hear your thoughts. Who do you think is bluffing of our panel today?
So I'm going to say Chelsea because Katie knew enough to correct me on my own grandfather's experience.
Oof.
Okay.
It was brutal.
My grandfather was a captain in World War II, so he could have served. He could have not served. He could have cruised on a ship that sailed during World War II.
Okay. All right. Katie, let's hear your thesis. Who's bluffing?
Listen, I can tell when a man is lying to me. Well, I know Allan's story, while boring, was clearly a guise to distract us. If you say things that sound boring enough, people stop listening. Allan's the bluff.
Allan. For Allan. All right. We have 1 vote for Chelsea, 1 vote for Allan.
So boring, it can't be true.
Chelsea, who do you think is
Not on your tombstone.
I'm just like I love everything Katie said. I'm Team Katie. I believe her. She says everything with conviction. I'm like, yeah, you're super confident, super knowledgeable, Katie. So you are telling the truth, Allan. You're definitely the bluff.
Oh, no.
You couldn't even get your own family history straight. So
That's true. My dad, if he watched this, he'd be like, "No, it's the Olympic."
What are you doing, son?
firing away at the comments.
Well, we have 2 votes for Allan, 1 vote for Chelsea. And for our audience members, please do throw in the comments who you think is the bluff. But the one person who does know who the bluff is, that's Adam. So, Adam, I'm going to hand it off to you. Please reveal who is this week's true bluff.
All right, I'm going to ask you, Chris, to step off our virtual stage while I line up the bluffs. And I'm going to ask everyone in the universe, was your bluff Allan? Was your bluff Katie? Or was your bluff Chelsea? Prepare for the big reveal. Your bluff this whole time, it was Allan.
What? Who knew? Who knew?
Just everyone.
So
Could
surprised.
anyone figure it out?
2 out of 2 competing historians knew.
Everyone and anyone
That was,
knew.
I knew it.
Yes, you did.
Allan, next time you're not the bluff. You just have to do exactly what you did this time to throw everyone off the scent.
That's right.
But that's what I always do. Like, I get criticized for dry stories.
People tell me I'm boring every time.
Yeah.
He's
That's
consistent.
See,
Alan,
the
when you're
problem is these ladies are new to the show.
Oh, that's right.
I'm
That's
sorry, what was the problem, as you called it? What was the
What?
problem?
What was the problem? Yeah, the problem is you haven't seen my pattern of behavior.
Oh, that's
That
right.
When I tell the truth, I'm also damn boring.
yeah. That's it's like how the Hulk is always mad. That's his secret. Alan's secret is he's always boring. That's
I
not
think
just.
it's both seeing right through you being a problem, Alan.
Oh my god.
Chris, at the beginning of the show, you asked me my favorite book about water. Violet Jessup wrote a memoir under a different name that was recently found. And so now it is published as her memoir called Titanic Survivor. So that is my favorite book about water.
Wow. Okay. Very
Nice.
cool.
Good to know.
Good to know indeed, and a good episode. We appreciate everyone listening and watching. I thank our tech extraordinaire, Adam Bellis. Give it up for Adam, please.
Hey, my pleasure. It's been great being here. Y'all entertained me.
And thank you so much to our historians, Katie and Chelsea, and our bluff this week, Alan. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here every week, and we're going to have Adam take us into the outro.
Let's do it. It's been great. Chris, thank you for hosting as always. We are here every week. Subscribe to our YouTube, watch us on Twitch, or listen where you get your podcasts.